And welcome to Hero Power. I'm your host, Avanties, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Zerotio, who is not at my house this week.
That's right. Ever get that feeling of deja vu? I don't know.
Occasionally, once or twice.
Yeah, it's interesting to do the show this week and not be sitting in your lap or beside your lap.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah.
Summer times we do a lot of traveling around a family, and our family's right next to Avanti's house, so it just works out that I get to go visit on the weekends sometimes during the summer.
I get custody on weekends occasionally.
No, we got a lot to talk about this week.
I don't know what you're talking about. It was quiet. There's no news. Oh, that's a great show. We'll see you guys next week.
No. Before we get into news, I'll go ahead and give my week in Hearthstone. I got Legend and Standard.
Congratulations.
I pushed with Murloc Paladin at my stats a 67% win rate.
You're a dirty man.
Yeah, I felt dirty going such an aggressive deck, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I kind of want to get into Legend and work on Wild Legend, which I'm Diamond 3 right now. So
yeah, it's funny. I saw a tweet earlier this week that somebody had said, "I hope everybody's happy with all your whining and complaining. Demon Hunter's now like rank 4 in the tier list, and Paladin is now at the top of the tier list." And
yeah. What's funny is Hunter. The last time I saw HS Replay had Hunter just above Paladin by like 0.07% or something small, yeah. But all the Paladin decks that are good right now farm Hunters. I like my win rate against Hunter with my pure Paladin is something like 82%.
Wow.
And that's a lot of games too. I think I've faced Hunter, pulling up my stats real quick, like 67 times at an 82% win rate over Hunter. So while Hunter's really good, it's not good against Paladin, which is probably why Paladin is doing so well, because Hunter is doing so well. Whenever Hunter's doing good, Paladin does good. But yeah, that was pretty much my week. And then we got news of a new set coming out.
That's right. Yeah, we're going back to school. And the Scholomance Academy has been announced as the next Hearthstone expansion. Within the lofty halls of this prestigious Scholomance Academy, the next generation of great fire flingers, axe swingers, and doombringers study under the scrutinizing eye of Headmaster Kel'Thuzad. Whatever your martial or magical pursuit, the Academy has the training grounds and the study halls to transform you into the hero you've always known you could be. Just be sure to steer clear of what the Cult of the Damned may be meddling with beneath the campus grounds. I tell you what, I'm really excited about this. It's a little bit Hearthstone, a little bit kind of Harry Potter feeling, Hogwarts. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kel'Thuzad's back.
Yeah, and this is the pre-Lich Kel'Thuzad. So we're going to see kind of like what we did with One Night in Karazhan. We saw a different version of Medivh. So we're going to see a different version of Kel'Thuzad.
A lot more Mr. Bigglesworth.
So I'm hoping there's a lot of Bigglesworth Easter eggs and card references, and I really hope there's a Mr. Bigglesworth card.
Oh yeah, that would be hilarious.
And there's been so many sets that have been loosely tied to Mr. Bigglesworth because of locations in World of Warcraft that would have been nice to see in a card. We never saw one. It might have been they were saving all that content for now. So yeah, I'm super excited that I already got my bundle.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I mean this is arguably one of the best value mega bundles they've ever done. So the mega bundles in the past have always been decent. Some have been better than others, but this one particularly, this mega bundle includes 80 packs of Scholomance Academy. Mm-hmm. It includes your arena tickets, your battleground perks, your golden legendary, and your card back. Just like and the Kel'Thuzad Lich Mage hero, which is all the normal stuff. But they've thrown something else into this mega bundle, haven't they?
They sure have. You get 5 golden packs of Scholomance Academy, meaning all 5 cards in there are going to be golden. Now remember, every different pack type has their own pity timer. So what that means is the golden packs will guarantee, if you never opened them before, which is a different one, new one, so you haven't, guarantee a legend within the first 10. So pretty much you have a 50% chance of getting a legendary,
a golden legendary,
a golden legendary.
Yeah.
So
they're giving you a golden legendary. Then you got a 50% chance to pull a golden legendary, and then you've got 80 packs to pull more legendaries.
Yeah, and this is probably the best mega bundle since Rastakon's Rumble, and where you got 90 packs.
Yeah,
but with the golden, you could argue that golden cards are worth more because of their dust value once you dust them. So this is really good. I hope this is kind of where they sit. They kind of adjust these bundles every set to kind of find that sweet spot of where people will buy. And I like the value, so I, kind of showed that with my wallet.
Yeah. See, I didn't buy the Descent of Dragons bundle, or what was the last bundle? The Outland. I didn't buy the Outland bundle. So, but this bundle, I can already tell you for sure, I will be investing. I'm not saying spending my money. I'm investing my money in this bundle because it's such a good deal.
Yeah, and the regular bundle is the $50 US for $49.99 is not a bad deal either. You get the
golden legendary,
the card back, the golden legendary, and then you get 55 packs, where customarily they do 50 packs.
Right.
So now, I think that's the best regular bundle we've gotten, aside from Rastakon's Rumble, which did 60 at the time. Again, that was just after the Blitzchung stuff, and so there was a lot of buyback they were doing to the community, trying to get their support from a lot of the political stuff that was going on with Blizzard. But
either way, either bundle you buy, you're gonna be getting your packs at about 90 cents a pack, and that's a great deal.
It's a really good deal. It's better than the Ashes of Outland, and it has possibly more new stuff in it going on with this set, which I'm really excited to talk about, because Ashes of Outland gave us a new class. Well, this really is going to heighten up the game quite a bit with the new effects and everything.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of those new effects. With Scholomance Academy, we're getting a new keyword for cards called Spell Burst. So, Zerotio, tell us what Spell Burst is.
So, Spell Burst is a new keyword that's going to be on minions, and it says minions with the new Spell Burst keyword will trigger a one-time additional effect when a spell is played. These effects can turn your board of middling minions into a pyrotechnic display of card-generating and opponent-devastating mayhem. And what that means is they're going to have a little sparkly symbol at the bottom of the card while they're in play. And the first spell you play while they're in play, you'll get the Spell Burst effect. And there's a lot of really cool effects. We'll be talking about the 14 cards that were revealed so far during the play portion of the show. So no deck this week, but we're going to talk about the new cards. And there's some really neat stuff with Spell Burst that for each class that kind of heightens that class's feel and class dynamic. So I'm really excited to see the Spell Burst effect in play, because usually with these type of cards, they kind of raise the cost or lower the stats, and they don't seem to be doing that this go round. So that kind of means we're going to have a little powerful set of cards coming in. But again, we've only seen 14 cards, so we'll have to see.
Now, we're also sticking with the back to school or schools in session theme, where we're getting some new spells in this set called Studies. Now, these are cost-reducing Discover cards. we don't really know a whole lot about these yet, though, right, Zerotio?
No, we've only seen one studies card. It's a Druid card. And again, we'll talk about that in the second half of the show. So basically, you're going to be discovering they're going to be card generating cards,
Which are always good.
which are always good. Which I'm kind of curious what classes will get studies, because in the past they've done these kind of things and not all classes got that spell type, because they've said in past interviews that they don't want certain classes to generate cards, specifically Demon Hunter. They want Demon Hunter to be able to draw their deck quickly, but not necessarily generate resources from outside outside their deck. So I don't suspect that we will see Demon Hunter studies cards, or if we do, there'll be something like discover a card in your deck. And then it looks like, at least with this first one, that they're all going to reduce the cost of whatever cards you discover.
Yeah. Yeah. And then probably, for me anyway,
Yes.
what is the single most exciting part of this expansion is we are getting a double major at Scholomance Academy, and they are introducing dual class cards. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
this is so exciting.
So anytime they've done the dual class arena, the community has just absolutely loved it. And a lot of your community members that are very vocal about what they'd like to see in Hearthstone have come from a Magic the Gathering background where you can make multiple colored decks. So a lot of your community members and possibly design devs for Team 5 have kind of that inkling of, what if we could take multiple classes and put them into one deck?
Oh,
And the way they're doing that with this set is you will have 40 new cards. So if you're doing the math, that's
40.
just over a third of the set are going to be dual class cards. Now, what does that mean? Each class is going to have 2 pairings. And we have the list of the pairings. So Shaman and Druid are going to have a dual class. Druid Hunter, Hunter Demon Hunter, Demon Hunter Warlock, Warlock Priest, Priest Paladin, Paladin Warrior, Warrior Rogue, Rogue Mage, and then Mage and Shaman. So if you do the math of 40 total cards, that means each pairing is going to have 4 dual class cards.
Yeah.
Which means
awesome.
Each class is going to have 8 dual class cards, since they have 2 pairings. So you're going to have 8 cards that can cross between different classes.
So for instance, say you're playing with a Shaman hero, you can use the Shaman Druid cards and the Mage Shaman cards in your Shaman deck.
Yes. Now, for certain cards that look for specific types of cards, they are going to count as both, say, Rogue and Warrior. So if you get one of these dual class cards and you have a card that requires you to have a card of a different class than Rogue, these will not satisfy that because they're still a Rogue card. So that won't work. So it's going to be really neat to see how this goes. At first, when I heard this, I was thinking each class might get 2 of these, maybe 4. That would be stretching it. But the fact that each class is getting 8 total dual class cards, man, that really... So it's a kind of a double-edged sword, because each of these dual class cards are going to have a kind of class identity of each class. So in some cases, if your class discovers spells or your class combos, you might have a card that has a combo discover a class card. So that's going to heighten that class identity quite a bit, but at the same time, it's going to blur it a bit, because then other classes besides Rogue are going to be able to combo because they have dual class cards. So I know some people are against dual class cards. I know that friend of the show and former guest, Avanga Dragon, really doesn't like the idea of the dual class cards because he's worried class identity is going to go away. And seeing this, that might actually happen, but I'm hoping, again, we haven't seen a lot of cards yet. Once we see the full set, we'll kind of get an idea what direction they're going.
You and I are old school, long time Magic the Gathering players. So
Oh, yeah.
the idea of mixing types, spell types is pretty common for us. Like, we've been doing it since the mid 90s. So the idea of being able to do that here, I mean, not fully, but to a version really
a controlled
excites me.
degree.
Yeah.
It's to a controlled degree. And again, this is where being a digital card game kind of has its advantages. You can generate random effects, you can generate discover effects, things like that, which wouldn't be so easy to do in something like Magic the Gathering. Right. Personally, this is the most exciting part of this set, Scholomance Academy, that I am excited for.
Yeah, me too.
I'm getting. So, is this the first set that has a 2-letter acronym? SA. I think all of them have been 3 letters because it's been like something of. Or
yeah, a lot of them
versus.
have. Yeah.
So
yeah, TGT. Yeah.
GVG. This would be the first 2-letter acronym, so it's kind of throwing me off. But I'm really excited for Scholomance Academy, and the dual class cards. This is kind of this one thing, especially since there's going to be 40 total cards in the set, might be what revives some of your lower performing classes like Shaman, Priest to an extent. Paladin up until recently hasn't had a really good set of tools. The basic set and classic set for Paladin is actually horrific. Other than Tyrion, it's horrible. But having these dual class cards where we have Priest and Paladin, so we might be able to enhance our healing. We have Paladin Warrior, might get some more weapons. That's going to be exciting. One other thing we didn't talk about with the most recent patch is they've changed the way weapons look in the game.
Yes, they changed the border around weapons, and it looks fantastic.
So the most weapons are just kind of a flat kind of black coloring, and the only way you could tell what class it was is the color border around the text. And that was it. Now they're actually putting in the class identifying background, which means they've got it set up so they can split it down the middle and have dual class weapons. And I'm really hoping that Paladin and Warrior get dual class weapons, because the classes that they paired, you have Paladin and Warrior are both weapon classes. You have Rogue and Warrior are also going to be paired. They are weapon classes. I think Hunter and Demon Hunter
are both weapon classes. Yep.
And
Shaman
I think
Shaman and then
Shaman
Druid has spells to give them attacks.
Yeah. But Shaman, which is the other weapon class, didn't get any weapon class pairing. So I don't expect to see any dual class Shaman weapons. You might get class Shaman weapons, but not dual class Shaman weapons. So I'm just I want the set to come out like right now. But
you're only about 2 weeks away.
The good news is they have the reveal schedule out, and give me just a quick second to pull it up. The reveal schedule starts the 22nd, which is what, Wednesday?
This coming Wednesday, that's correct.
So starting first thing 6 a.m. Eastern time on the 22nd, and then cards are at a rapid fire pace being revealed through until 8 a.m. is the last reveal, 8 a.m. on July the 29th, which just so happens to be a Wednesday. So that would tell me we're looking at either a Wednesday stream or a Thursday stream to give us the last card dump. And then we'll have all the cards for that right at the beginning of August.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at I'm actually looking at all the links for the card reveals to see who all is giving out these who all's doing these reveals. You know, you can hover over the date and time, and then in the bottom corner, like this one's July 25th at 1 o'clock is Play Hearthstone's Instagram. But July 26th at 11 p.m. is gamer.com. You know, you can see who you know, there's Trump, GameSpot. There's some YouTube channels that we'd have to click on. But yeah, so you can actually go in and see exactly who is going to be doing these reveals.
Yeah, and another interesting thing to note is there's 42 reveals scheduled between the 22nd and 29th, with 14 cards revealed so far. Doing quick math, that's 56 cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even half the cards. So we're probably going to see a lot of cards, either multiple cards revealed in these, or we're going to see large dumps through other means, because this is never the only time we see reveals. We see some through articles. We see stuff. Usually Blizzard once a day will plop down a tweet or something with a handful, or they'll do a video, three videos in a week that'll give us 5 or 6 cards in each video. So yeah, this is gonna be a rapid fire pace, and I'm so ready with the kind of life we've had this year, through halfway through the year now. Mm-hmm. It's felt like this 6 months has been 2 years. So I'm just ready for new content. I'm super excited for dual class cards. I know I'm going to be really playing a lot of Hearthstone in August. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for the dual class cards. So all right, so yeah, we're going to review the 14 cards that have been released so far during what would normally be our play portion. So there'll be no deck this week, as Zerotio said.
So all of our viewers that watch us on YouTube or over our website, watch the video at heropowerhs.com, will be able to see all of the cards. We'll have
we have a visual spoiler for this release, thanks to Zerotio.
For our audio listeners, our audio listeners, we're going to talk about the cards all the way to the end. So you're not getting a truncated episode this week.
Yeah.
So it's content. New, and we're probably going to be doing this probably for the next 3 weeks, I think, if my math holds up.
Yeah.
Looking at the calendar, probably 3 weeks of these card reviews, and then we'll get back to the play portion the Sunday following the drop of the set.
Yep. Testing out some of the new stuff. So, all right. You guys that have been listening to the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about patch 17.6. It was a huge patch. We've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks. We're going to talk about it again this week because the Battlegrounds hero pool updates dropped this week. And we're getting some new heroes, and then we're getting some returning and updated heroes. So first up, we have a new hero in Tess Greymane.
Yes.
Her hero power is Bob's Burgles, which I think is hilarious. I'm a huge fan of Bob's Burgers. So we got Bob's Burgles. And
I didn't even like correlate this with Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgles.
So,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so it's a 1 cost, 1 gold hero power. It refresh Bob's Tavern with minions from your last opponent's warband. So if you are building pirates and you play against somebody who's building pirates as well, you can refresh the tavern and choose from your opponent's pirates.
Yeah, which this might allow you to speed up depending on what everybody else is doing. If you're playing and you see somebody else is doing the same minion type as you kind of want to steer away from it. But with Tess, you want to stay with it and possibly ramp up your golden minions really quick.
Here's my thought on this hero power. there are only so many of each copy of Minion in the pool at each
Yes.
tier. So this is generating additional copies from outside the pool. So you could ramp up into those threes a whole lot faster with this power.
Yeah. Now, is it outside the pool?
I would imagine it is, because your opponent has those minions in their warband.
Yeah, but you're not
You're
getting
not
their...
you're not taking the minion from their warband,
Yeah.
so it has to be generating another copy.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the back end of that will be. And a reminder, with all these that we're talking about, you get these with the Battlegrounds perks right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't get the perks, which comes with the Mega Bundle, or you pay the $19.99, or I think is it 2,500 gold? I can't remember. 2,000. I can't remember how much.
I don't remember how much it is brand new. Like right now, if you log into the game to buy the hero perks, it's 1,250 gold. But I think it gets cheaper the closer to the next expansion you get.
But if you don't have those, you will get access to all of these new heroes, which right now is only tests on July 28th.
But there are some returning heroes that haven't been in the pool for a while, and they're getting some revamped abilities.
Yeah, they are.
First up, we have King Mukla. His ability, Bananarama, used to generate a couple of bananas, but now you get 2 bananas, and at the end of the turn, you give everybody else in the Battlegrounds 1 banana.
Yeah, and I thought this was bad. And we actually played Mukla last weekend.
We played him and played against him. And
he's actually not that bad. Your opponents, while they'll get an extra +1/+1, you're getting double that, and you're giving one to every opponent, but you only have to face those opponents one at a time. It's not like you're facing all of them. So you're incrementally getting better at a faster rate than they're getting better, and they're all getting better at the same rate. So it's kind of parity, for them. So I liked King Mukla. I think we got like a 3rd place with him and a 4th place or something like that. We did pretty good with him.
Yeah. Next up, we have returning to the Battlegrounds, Dino Tamer Bran. Now, we think we confirmed that previously it was just Bran Bronzebeard. It wasn't Dino Tamer Bran. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, so last time it was just called Bran Bronzebeard, and I forget what his effect was. But
well, it was still called Battlebrand at the time. And I think it was give minions +1/+1 or something like that. But now it's refresh Bob's Tavern with Battlecry minions. So if you're doing a Battlecry build, this is awesome.
Yeah, or if you're just doing like a specific tribal build and you're looking for the specific battle cries that go with that tribe, it just raises that chance because it's a smaller pool that you'll get those. So
then we've got some updated heroes. First up is Arana Starseeker. Her hero power, Demon Hunter training, used to say after you refresh 7 times, Bob always has 7 minions. Well, they've reduced it now to where you only have to refresh 5 times for Bob to offer you 7 minions. So you can really get there. I think you and I figured out, if you spend turn 1, turn 3, or turn 2, and then by turn 3, you're at full 7 minions. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. And we kind of talked about this on the show last week. And again, if you're hearing us talk about balance 17.6, we talked about the standard balancing cards last week. We didn't talk about the Battlegrounds. So that's why we're taking a moment to talk about Battlegrounds. But we looking at Arana, there was kind of a tactic that Regis Kilbin had where you just do nothing but refresh right out the gate and then get up to that 7 and then go for pogo hoppers. and you're getting a higher chance to get the pogo hoppers because you have 7 of them.
Mhm.
This allows that to happen sooner because you can just take the first 2 turns to refresh, and then boom, all of a sudden you're golden, and on turn 3 you can tavern up and start looking for those pogos. So I'm really excited to play with her. I have not been able to get her yet, so I'm really excited to see how good she is, because she wasn't really that good when she was revealed.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have what is being looked at as a nerf for Captain Hook Tusk. Captain Hook Tusk's ability, Trash for Treasure, used to say remove a friendly minion, discover one from a tavern tier lower. The new ability is remove a friendly minion, get a random one from a tavern tier lower. So you no longer get that discover mechanic.
Yeah, and that was what made her so strong. And it's still 0 cost, but I think this really drops her in performance. I haven't looked at Battlegrounds stats since the update, but I can't imagine that she's as high up as she was, because she came out the gate just top tier.
Oh, yeah. Also, with 17.6 going in, pirates are no longer a guaranteed tribe to appear in every battleground. So now they'll be on the rotation. And we got a new minion, the Amalga Dawn. So this is a tier 6 minion with 6 attack, 6 health, and a battle cry. For each different minion type you have, adapt randomly.
Yeah, and I had somebody have a golden Amalga Dawn, and it's the same effect, except he's a 12/12. For each different minion type you have, adapt randomly twice. And it was pretty beastly, I'm not going to lie, because he got all the random adapts from the first 2, and then when he got the third one, which is golden, it put all those buffs on it, and then he also got to adapt twice per type.
Wow.
So it was ridiculous. I mean, it had lots of body, it had poisonous, it had divine shield, it had wind fury. It was sick.
So this works best in like a menagerie build, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this is pretty much for a menagerie, yeah.
Okay. Then we also have an updated minion, Goldrin the Great Wolf. He used to be a tier 5 minion. He's getting bumped up to a tier 6.
Yeah.
And he's the one that Death Rattle give all beasts +4/+4. So
which puts him in the same tier as Mama Bear, and I think Bear and Rivendare also.
Yeah.
So that Bear and Rivendare comp, you can't preload your Goldrins before you get your Bear and Rivendare. So
right.
That's gonna slow down that Death Rattle build.
Yeah. All right, so that pretty much, I believe, does it for our week 3 coverage of patch 17.6. They've rolled it out a little at a time, and it should all be there now. So that brings us to this week's Masters Tour update. Asia Pacific started this week. So, with it being Asia Pacific, they actually ran it on Asia Pacific time. So for those of us in the US, it was kind of at an odd hour, Zerotio, but you took the mantle and adjusted your sleep schedule, and you checked out quite a bit of this.
Yeah, the first 2 nights, they started at 7:45 or 8 o'clock, really. 7:45 was a preload.
Eastern, yeah.
Eastern time. And then I stayed up till about 2 o'clock every night, and then would just catch the rest on their YouTube channel the morning of. Usually I missed about 2 hours, except for the finals. I watched all the way up through the semifinals for the top 8, and decided this morning I was just gonna catch the final match this morning on the download. But I a lot of late nights staying up and playing Hearthstone and
watching
I'll tell
Hearthstone.
you, playing Hearthstone at like 2 a.m. Eastern time, when you're playing all the people in Australia and whatnot, It's a totally different meta
Oh
than
wow.
playing like during the day in the U.S. So
Yeah.
I saw lots of different types of decks. Quest Druid, people play Quest Druid, Spell Mage. I mean, pure Spell Mage, where no minions in it at all. So yeah, I saw a lot of really unique decks by players that are out in that APAC time zone.
That's
So
really cool. That's really cool. So we saw a lot of notable names in the top 8 of this Masters Tour.
yeah, and after we break it down, I want to talk about that because obviously, uh, this Masters Tour specifically was disrupted by a balance patch,
That's correct.
and they literally had less than 48 hours to test out decks and submit their lineup.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So our top 8 saw Alutimu defeat Old Boy.
Uh-huh.
We saw that which Alatimu was the number 8 seed, knocking off the number 1 seed Old Boy.
Yeah, and old boy was the only person that went undefeated through 9 rounds of Swiss.
Then we saw Bunny Hopper at the number 2 seed defeat LPX Hope at the number 7 seed.
Uh-huh.
We saw Letta at the 3 seed defeat Just Sayin at the 6 seed.
Yep.
Then we saw Tice, which was good to see him back in a top 8 final.
Sure was.
Defeat RNG Leo.
Yeah, it goes by Lee.
Okay.
But yeah, so a couple things to note here. 4 Grandmasters in this top 8.
Mm-hmm.
We had Alutimo, who's out of APAC region, out of Japan, Bunny Hopper, Just Saying, and Tice.
Yeah.
So 2 European, 1 APAC, 1 Americas. And on top of that, we saw 2 Chinese top players, which they have their own Grandmasters kind of program in China.
Mm-hmm.
And that was X-Hope and Lee. And both of them are in competition to possibly go into make it to the World Championships, which is customarily held at BlizzCon.
Right.
So you're looking right there out the gate. 6 players that are like that Grandmaster
right. So
level of
the only
play.
2 that were not of that level were Old Boy and Lita.
And Old Boy and Letta are both practice partners with a lot of these players.
Mm-hmm.
Letta actually was on a team with Bunny Hopper at one point. And Letta plays out of Italy. And now Letta did a funny thing. One thing you'll notice, we had no French representatives this go round. This is the first time in a long time we haven't had a French player in the top 8. However, Letta named all of his decks French terms. It's kind of like it was almost like a superstitious thing. Hey, I'm like an honorary French player. Hey, you know. So it was almost like he was thinking, getting a little mojo going by naming his decks. I think one of his decks was even named Baguette. So it was really funny. So in our top 4, we had Alutimo versus Tice and Letta versus Bunny Hopper. This is in the semifinals. 3 Grandmasters and Alutimo, Tice, and Bunny Hopper. And then you have Letta, who just defeated a Grandmaster to get into the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
This is stacked. So Alutimo defeats Tice, and Letta, I want to say, upsets Bunny Hopper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you're not looking at player versus Grandmaster, you're still got Bunny Hopper, the number 2 seed, losing to Letta, the number 3 seed.
Yeah. And so that puts Letta in the finals versus Alutimo. Now, 2 things here. Letta has defeated a North America Grandmaster and an EU Grandmaster, and is now competing against an Asia Pacific Grandmaster. If Letta wins, he's defeated a Grandmaster from every region.
That's the hat trick, right?
On top of that, Alutimo and Letta faced during the Swiss rounds, where Letta defeated him 3-1. So Letta's in a prime spot here. One thing I want to point out is, at this point, Letta is in the finals. So his prize money is going to be very large going into the possibility of being promoted into Grandmasters in 2021. The one thing to note here is of all the other semifinal competitors earning that prize pool, they're all Grandmasters and already qualified. So that means there's more of a gap prize pool wise between Letta in the finals and other players that are still trying to get into Grandmasters.
Correct.
So because all these Grandmasters have kind of, I don't want to use, for lack of better terms, robbed other players of prize money they needed to elevate themselves into Grandmasters. Obviously, they're padding their own pools as well if they get relegated.
Exactly, and that's important. That's important to know.
It. Yeah, they don't necessarily need it to get into Grandmasters because they're already there, but it's money in their pocket.
And if they get relegated, that money that they've earned, it helps them get back into Grandmasters.
That is also true. So, Letta ends up defeating Elutimu again 3-1, just like in Swiss, claiming the champion's role in Masters Tour Asia Pacific. Now, if he was in North America, he would be way in front in prize pool, but he's in EU, so this puts him about second place now.
Yeah.
And again, the promotions have already happened for season 4. Right. So this is going to be numbers. There's a lot of tour stops still. This is going to be numbers to 2021 season 5. And now there's 6 different, I think 6, your last 6 Masters Tour or what counts towards your prize earning. It used to be 3, now it's 6 because they added more. So Letta's in a prime position to possibly be promoted if he has just even a decent showing at the next couple of Masters Tours.
Yeah.
Now, the question I want to ask is, do you think the balance update had an impact on this tournament?
Absolutely. I don't think you can say it didn't, because players had been working for weeks prior to this event to perfect their lineups, their 30-card deck lists, trying to figure out what was going to work, what was going to counter what, and then 48 hours prior to the event, everything gets upended, and now you've got to scramble to change deck lists.
Yep.
You've got to relearn your deck list. There's no way this didn't disrupt the tournament preparation. So,
speaking from experience, because I have gone to Masters Tour qualifiers, I have competed in HCT qualifiers in the past, where I'm trying to get into ACT. I actually won one of the tavern qualifiers to get into the HCT qualifiers. So with my experience, I can tell you, you usually have a multi-week practicing regimen. You're fine-tuning your decks. You're getting everything ready for this one big tournament you plan to go to. You're putting a lot of energy into it. And for all that to kind of get shuffled 48 hours before, and you have to start over and kind of truncate all that into 48 hours, is difficult. And there is a caliber of player that does this regularly, and those are Grandmaster players, because during the Grandmaster season, they're submitting a new lineup every single week. Every week they submit a lineup to compete for that week, and then the next week they want to switch it up so they're not repetitive, and they also look at the dynamic of meta changes. Okay, everybody went Priest this last week, and it didn't do well, so people are not going to focus on targeting Priest. Maybe this is the week I bring Priest, or maybe it's not good enough anymore, or this deck, Hunter's gone up in notoriety, so people are going to be Hunter, so maybe this is the week I can bring something like Paladin. So Grandmaster players do this regularly, and I think that's why we saw 4 Grandmasters in the top 8 and 3 Grandmasters in the semifinals, because it's that skill set that is needed, which tells me players like X-Hope, Letta, and Old Boy, who might practice with some of these Grandmaster practice squads, we're obviously prepared for this. And if you, I think I was mentioning it in our Discord for the channel for the show, uh, going up through it, the top 16 were just who's who of names. I mean, X Blythe was up there, Paveling book was up there, uh, the just all these notable names. Eddie was up in top 16 for a short stint right at the end, and the after 7 rounds of Swiss. So a lot of these players that are used to this type of grind week to week did well this time. Which to me even further says that competing on a high level in Hearthstone is not all about RNG and rolling high, like a lot of people say. I know a lot of people in our community are like, well, anybody can have a good week, and then all of a sudden they win a Masters Tour and then they go to Grand Masters. No, you have to be consistent throughout, or you're not going to stay at that level and then be able to get into Grand Masters. And even if you do luck out and get promoted to Grand Masters, you will quickly get demoted and relegated that season, which we did see some of that this past season.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox.
All right. So if you guys missed it, like Zerotio said, you can find the videos on youtube.com/playhearthstone. Go check them out. So that brings us to this week's Tavern Brawl, which is a peek to the past, which I absolutely love. Let's take it down a notch there, Brawler. Make a deck using only cards from basic and classic sets, but you can't use any of them there fancy epics or legendaries, you hear? I love Pauper events. It is so much fun.
When I saw this Tavern Brawl, I was like, Avanties is going to like clear a schedule to do nothing but play this all day long. Because this is right up your alley. You love making people play with a small subset of cards.
Oh yeah, well,
especially cards that people can get.
As an innkeeper, one of my favorite things to do is deck building challenges. I like to give people a goal and say, build within these means, only using some weird set of rules. It's one of the most fun things to do. Bites, the innkeeper out of California, he is the king of deck building challenges, and I'm not ashamed to say I have borrowed quite a few of his ideas because they are so good. And I love these types of events, and Pauper is just one of my favorites. So.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Bites is, he says he's the innkeeper out of California. He is the innkeeper. He cosplays as the innkeeper from Hearthstone.
That is correct.
I've actually had the pleasure of meeting him at BlizzCon. And his costume, it looks even more impressive in person than it does on Twitter, on photos, and in videos. I like this one. I actually made just a face hunter, and one and done it. So
okay,
it was good.
All right. Well, that's it for the news. I guess that means it's time for Scholomance Academy card review.
Yes.
Dun.
So excited. Now, a reminder, everybody that's listening on the download, we're not doing a play portion. We're not doing a video only a portion. This week, we're going to review the 14 cards that were revealed, and we're going to do this for the next few weeks until all the cards are revealed. So expect the next couple episodes to be a little longer on your download.
So if you're listening to the audio version, if you're hearing my voice, then know that this is kind of where we would end a normal show.
Yeah.
But we're going to start talking about some new cards from Scholomance Academy. First up, we have some neutral cards. We have...
First, go back to the first slide again. So this is the Scholomance Academy, and those on that are listening on audio, this is kind of the poster, and it has lots and lots of really neat characters. Obviously, we see Kel'Thuzad in his human form right up front, in kind of a big purple cloak, and then you have him flanked by what I'm guessing are
professors.
Our professors, we have a Tauren. We haven't had a lot of Tauren representation as frontline characters. I'm hoping that changes. And then we have a Merlin-looking haggard guy who has a key on the end of his beard.
Yes,
You see
that's
that? Isn't that neat?
interesting.
And then we have all kinds of little fox characters. We have goblins. I don't
Trolls
see
and
the
orcs
trolls.
and yeah.
Yeah, so, and they have Hearthstone cards stuck in their pockets. This is probably the most exciting poster I've ever seen of a new set reveal. It has a lot of information about what we might see out of this. We have it looks like some kind of animal, like a dog holding a doll that looks like it has a bomb head. I don't know. It's really exciting, and it makes me want to play this set.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
all right, go ahead.
Let's
Move
get
on
into
to
the
the first
neutrals. First up, we have a neutral epic minion called Transfer Student. Now, if you've logged into the game, you've received this card.
Yes.
Everybody got it for free.
If you watch Masters Tour Asia Pacific, this card actually came out on a couple random effects. And it changes based on
the board.
Yeah. So go ahead and read it.
It's a 2-mana 2/2. This has different effects based on which game board you're on. So the lovely people on Reddit did some science for the good of humanity, and we have a list on Reddit, and I will try to add that to our show notes so that you guys can go check it out. But it lists all of the different effects that this card has on whichever board you're on. Now, interesting to note, this is not just standard game boards. This works on wild game boards too.
Yeah, and one thing, we're not going to go over every single effect right now. It might be something we talk about in later episodes. But in the current board set, there are 8 boards. Well, 7 boards, and then the Scholomance board, which isn't out yet. Of the 8 standard boards, 4 of them are battle cries, and 4 are static effects on the minions or death rattles.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that if you summon this minion, and it's a board that doesn't have a battle cry, it has a static effect, it might do something like it might have Divine Shield, it might have a death rattle effect, it might have effects that can impact the board. And of course, if you discover it in some way and can play it, it'll change based on what board you're on. But the wild boards also have a different effect per board, and each of the effects are kind of themed with that set.
Correct.
So it's really interesting. The implications that this has not only in standard but also in wild. I have seen him played a little bit in standard. I haven't seen him played in wild. Of course, I've only played about, I think, a dozen games in wilds since the patch. This is a really unique set. I know the casters for Masters Tour APAC are like, now we have to memorize what boards do what effects. So, I love anything to make the casters do more work.
Yeah. All right, next up we have a neutral rare minion, the Cult Neophyte. He's a 2-mana 3/2 battle cry. Your opponent's spells cost 1 more next turn. So this is like a mini Lothab.
Yeah, Lothab is a card that a lot of people have actually asked, could we ever get that rotated back into standard, because it is a tool that people really, really like as kind of like a tech card.
Disruption tool, yeah.
Yeah, disruption tool. Having this kind of, it's obviously a much reduced effect, but it's in the form of a card that's not a legendary. So you can have more than one copy of this. You could possibly generate these in some way. I like it. I like that it's on a battle cry, not a static effect. Obviously, there's some battle cry implications if there's any battle cry enhancing cards that might be able to duplicate this effect or make it happen more than once. So it's a lot of fun. I'm kind of glad this card is is in standard, while Shutterwork is no longer in standard because that would possibly break the game. But again, because it does with it does in wild. So I'm really excited for this card. I think it's nice. I like that it's a rare. Most players are going to be able to get it pretty early.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have a couple of common neutral minions. We have the Onyx Mage Scribe. It's a 6 mana 4/9 dragon with Spell Burst. Add 2 random spells from your class to your hand. So now remember, Spell Burst triggers the first time you play a spell after this minion is on the board.
Yeah, so obviously there's some classes that might benefit more with this, and I like that the stat mana distribution, 6 mana for a 4/9, which is pretty beefy. But in classes like Demon Hunter that have a smaller set of spells, this doesn't really fit into their normal game plan for Tempo Demon Hunter. So this isn't a card that in Tempo Demon Hunter you'd want to put in there, though it would probably be really good because you're likely to get a good spell in Demon Hunter than you would other classes. So I like the stat distributions. 4/9's kind of a weird body to deal with. Also, this kind of increases the pool, the 6 mana pool. So if you have something that generates a 6 mana minion, and remember, if you get this generated on the board, the spell burst effect can still be triggered. It's not like a battle cry; it has to be played from hand. So if you have something that Witchy Lackey a 5-drop into this, the next spell you play will pop the spell burst and give you those 2 spells. So it's a nice body for 6 mana, and I think it'll be played pretty well.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Wretched Tutor. It's a 4 mana 2/5 spell burst. Deal 2 damage to all other minions. So all other minions, that includes yours. That's important to note. But this could potentially be chained with some other damage-dealing spells to be used as a board clear.
Yeah. What is it? Is it Arcane Nova? The does 1 damage to the whole board in Mage?
Yeah, something like that.
Arcane Explosion.
Arcane Explosion, yeah.
Arcane Explosion with this is an early 3 damage to the whole board, other than this minion, of course. So it could be in a kind of a tempo mid-range deck that might want to go control. I think 4 mana for a 2/5 is a little overpriced. I think I'd like to see this at 3. 4 mana for 2/5 is not terrible with a good effect, but you have to play another spell with this. So you're investing probably at least 1 more mana into making the spell burst go off. Because you can't a thing with spell burst is you can't, just like any other minion that has any static effects, you can't just leave it and play and hope it's going to stick around until next turn.
Right.
But at 4 mana 2/5, it could.
It's true. All right. Moving on, we have our first look at some of the dual class cards.
Yep.
First up, we have a Hunter Druid Legendary, Shando Wildclaw. It's a 3 mana 3/3 minion with a choose 1. Give beasts in your deck +1/+1, or transform into a copy of a friendly beast. So I think it's important to note everybody has already been commenting on this. Dino Tamer Bran on 7 brings into play the 8/8 what's his name? King Crush, which just so happened to leave you 3 mana on turn 10 to Shando and make a copy of King Crush and swing for 16.
That's it. Yeah, that's a possibility. Also, a thing to note is in a beast-centric deck, this is Keleseth.
Yeah.
Without the requirement of mana cost reduction or mana cost stipulations where you can't you can pretty much have all your minions in there. But if you want to go a heavy tempo mid-range beast hunter, which hasn't been played in a while, this is kind of perfect. Also, mind you, in Druid, you could do a quest Druid with a lot of beasts. Again, I don't know what kind of beast representation we're going to have in Druid, if this will be worth it in Druid, but you could get both of these effects. Again, we'll just have to see. Now, for our audio listeners, the way you can tell the difference in dual class cards and a regular card is it looks the same, except you have the color of one class on the left and the color of one class on the right.
So
you see
Shondo
both
is
colors.
Green on the left, brown on the right.
Yeah, so the Hunter border on the left and Druid border on the right. And I think every class has one with it on the left and one with it on the right.
Correct.
So
it looks fantastic. They've done a great job with the art.
They did a really good job, and they also changed. We mentioned it earlier. They changed the weapons so that they can do this color scheme with them as well.
All right. Next up, we have a common dual class, the Wand Thief. Now, this is one of my favorite cards that's been revealed so far. It's a 1 mana, 1/2 combo. Discover a Mage spell. How awesome is that?
It's a Mage Rogue Minion.
Yeah, combo, discover a Mage spell. That's just so cool.
Now, I believe it was clarified on Twitter that rogue effects that discover a card from another class will not discover this because it's still a rogue card. So, and it also, if having a card of another class in your hand, it won't qualify that either because it's also still a rogue card. But in your rogue decks, you could combo this and get a mage spell. So it's like getting a random spell from another class, except you specifically can choose mage. And then, of course, in mage, I mean, it's just good. 1/2, it's good on turn 2 or even turn 1 with a coin, and play another 1 mana. Minion, maybe even 2 Wand Thieves. I
was gonna say, coin 2 Wand Thieves. Well, that would just be great.
It would work, but that's a perfect world.
Right. So, all right, moving on. We have a Shaman Mage spell, Devolving Missiles.
This is ridiculous.
It's 1 mana. Shoot 3 missiles at random enemy minions, so just like arcane missiles. That transforms them into ones that cost 1 mana less. So you shoot 3 missiles at 3 random minions, enemy minions, but instead of doing a point of damage, it devolves them by 1 mana. That's crazy.
So anybody that your reborn minions are gonna be devolved. Anything that has buffs on them, your Libram Paladin minions that they put Blessing of Wisdoms on to get back in their hand are gonna transform into another minion. I think it's less important that it goes 1 cost less, and more important that it just makes it not what they currently are.
Well, yeah, because if your opponent has 1 big minion on the board, you could play this and devolve that minion 3 times. You can take it from a 5 mana to a 2 mana, just like that for 1 mana.
Yeah, it doesn't hit 3 different minions. It just hits 3 random minions.
Random.
So it can't hit the same minion over and over again.
If there's only 1 target, then there's only 1 target.
So while this is random, you can manipulate it to hit a specific minion if it's a problemsome minion.
Exactly. Next up, we have Lightning Bloom, which is a Druid Shaman spell. It is 0 mana. Gain 2 mana crystals this turn only. Overload 2. So you've got Druid Ramp paired with Shaman Overload ability. Yeah,
so a lot of people are saying there's weird OTKs you can do with this card, coupled with another card we'll talk about later. Um, I they're really we hear about these kind of things before said all the time. It's like, oh, this card's going to be broken. It's a 5-star card. It needs to be nerfed right off the gate because you can OTK somebody. Yeah, but it's like a 7-card combo, and it has to go on turn 10, or it's still not going to work. And I think there is a big ramp possibility with this, where you can basically turn 1 or 2 play like you would on turn 5 or 6, but you're taking the next turn off.
Exactly.
So it's kind of give and take. I think it's a strong card. I think it's we're coupling with Coin Concede to do the rating spreadsheet again. I'm working with Ridiculous Hat to take it over instead of Man at Arms, because he's taking a break this set. But I think this would honestly, in my opinion, be like a 4. I don't think it's totally broken, but I think it's very useful.
Well,
but I think it's one of those cards that eventually goes to like a 1 of in a deck instead of a 2 of.
I want to reiterate for our audio listeners that we are doing a visual spoiler on our YouTube. And these 2 cards, Devolving Missiles and Lightning Bloom, so far, the art on both of these cards is fantastic. So if you've not seen them yet and you're just hearing us talk about them, if you've got the time, go check out our YouTube channel, YouTube/ECMMO Gamers, and check out the visual spoilers we have up for these cards, because the art is fantastic.
Yeah, and the colors they use, they make sure to mix. Like Lightning Bloom has this almost like a Black Lotus look to it from Magic the Gathering. Our Magic the Gathering players will understand that reference. But it has like blue and green coming off of it to kind of simulate nature and element at the same time. So, and it does kind of act like a Black Lotus does in its effect. So, yeah, it's the art in all these cards are really whimsical and fun.
All right, moving on. We have our first Studies card. Now, this is the only Druid card that has been revealed, not counting the dual class ones. The only actual full Druid card that has been revealed so far. It's called Nature Studies. It is a common 1-mana spell. Discover a spell. Your next one costs 1 less. So discover a spell. Your next spell, not the one you discovered, but your next spell costs 1 less.
So this is where the studies are all discover something, and then they all reduce cost of something.
Correct.
So this doesn't reduce the cost of that spell you discovered. It reduces the cost of the next spell you play. And it doesn't say this turn.
Right.
So this might be, you might Nature Studies
on turn 1.
Set up
well,
not necessarily on turn 1, but maybe you do it as a prep turn to maybe reduce the cost of spell, your next spell by 1 to set up maybe for a Malagos combo or something like that.
Yeah, or something. Or like I said, you can play this on 1 and play a 3-mana spell on turn 2. There's just a lot of options.
This would be good to spell Druid, because that deck pretty much primarily has majority of the deck is just spells.
Right.
So it's almost like ramping for a mana that turn.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We are now at Zerotio's class, the Paladin.
Yes.
First up, we have a common spell, First Day of School. It's 0 mana. Add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand.
Yeah, now this is random 1-cost minions, which means you can get minions from other classes. You're not discovering from a pool of your class of neutral. So you could get other class minions. And yeah, I'm excited about that. I think there was actually a card. I grabbed these cards from their website, and I want to say there's also a 1/4 cost priest minion, but I don't know. I think it was like a teaser image.
There is a 1-mana 1/4 priest. Is it on the list? I didn't check before.
I didn't put it in the spreadsheet because I just now thought of it. but I don't think it's been officially. Oh yeah, I didn't put it on the slideshow because it's not on the
Website.
website for Play Hearthstone. But it's a 1 mana priest minion, one
Which,
for
well,
frazzled freshman.
so that's the only priest card that's been revealed, right?
Yeah, yeah. We'll
Okay.
put it in the next one.
Yeah.
But you could get that 1/4 priest minion,
Yes.
which really raises the value of this. And there's a lot of 1-cost minions that just do some really good things and have some good stats. And 1-cost minions aren't terrible to have, especially in Paladin where you can hand buff, especially in Wild you can hand buff. But in Standard you can also have those minions on the board for Divine Shield or for an easy target for a Libram spell. So this is for 0 cost. I think this is a really, really good card.
Mm-hmm.
And I could possibly see this need a nerf to 1 mana.
Yeah, definitely.
I again, it's really early to say a card's overpowered, but depending on our pool of 1-cost minions this set, this could be really, really strong.
All right, next up for Paladin, we have what I think may be the best named card that revealed thus far. It's a rare minion, Goody Two Shields. She's a 3-mana 4/2 minion with Divine Shield and Spell Burst, gain Divine Shield. So I like this because it gives you options. First of all, Goody Two Shields. She has 2 Divine Shields, but you could play her, and if she maintains her Divine Shield until your next turn, you can attack, burn the shield, play a spell, and get another shield.
Yeah, or if you're playing into something like a snipe, you play it, snipe hits, you play a spell, it gets Divine Shield again.
Yeah.
Again, it's spell burst, so it's only going to happen 1 time.
Correct.
Also, generated on a random effect if you get a 3-drop off Witchy Lackey or something like that, and you get this, the next spell you do will refresh the Divine Shield if it doesn't have it anymore. So I honestly don't think this is a super strong card. I think it's a nice middle ground. I don't think it goes into too many decks right now. But 3 mana 4/2 is really decent. Usually the 4/2 stat distribution for Paladin with other effects is 4 mana.
Right.
That's kind of that sweet spot for Paladin, 4 mana 4/2, and it does something. 4 mana 4/2, it does something. This is 3 mana 4/2, it does something good. So yeah, I think it's a good solid middle of ground minion. You're definitely not sad when you get this off a random generated effect.
Right. So, all right. Moving on, we have Shaman, and we have the Diligent Note Taker. So it is a rare minion, 2 mana, 2/3. So pretty good base stats. But it also has Spell Burst. Return the spell to your hand. So, you could combo this with something like Lightning Storm, play a Lightning Storm, get the Lightning Storm back, play it again to do a board clear. There are some other really crazy possible combinations you could do with this card.
A lot of the community is talking about this with the new Lightning Bloom. You play this, you play Lightning Bloom, you get another Lightning Bloom, you play another Lightning Bloom, and coupled with Malagos on turn 10, this is 11 mana to play total, but you're generating significantly more mana to possibly then throw in a bunch of lightning bolts. So, again, I think it's very far-fetched to try to pull something like that off, but with any low-cost spells like Lightning Bloom that generates you more mana crystals that turn, this could end up being in a combo deck that can be impressive to play against.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our final class, Warrior. We have our first class legendary, which is Rattlegore. Now, this is a 9-mana 9/9 with Death Rattle. Resummon this with -1/-1. So let's think about that. 9 mana for a 9/9. You expend resources to kill this. It comes back as an 8/8. You expend more resources to kill this. It comes back as a 7/7. So on and so forth. This is crazy.
Unless there's a way to cheat this out, I don't know if this goes in a deck. Again, I could be wrong. But man, this puts 9 mana premium spot for like Witchy Lackey Evolve type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Also, you don't want to transform minion to 1 less, a 10 mana minion, and possibly hit this.
Right.
This is a reason to play Silence in your decks if this is in the meta.
Yeah.
I personally think it's strong, but again, on turn 9, can you afford to just play a 9/9?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
By that point, it doesn't have taunt. It doesn't have any. It doesn't deal with the board that turn. So, who knows if this will be playable? But man, this effect is really cool.
Yeah. All right. Then we have a rare warrior minion, the Troublemaker. So this is an 8 mana 6/8. At the end of your turn, summon 2 3/3 ruffians that attack random enemies. Not random enemy minions, random enemies.
These can go to your opponent's face, yeah. So it's like having... It's 8 mana 6/8 that does 6 damage split, 3 damage and 3 damage.
Yeah, it's like it fires off lightning bolts at the end of every turn.
Yeah. And if you have any way to possibly make it summon more at the end of your turn, like in Wild, where end of turn effects hit twice.
Or mercenary it after it takes damage.
Yeah, this is something that's going to happen every single turn. This is a card I think does go into the meta pretty substantially, because it's an 8 mana 6/8 that randomly deals with your opponent's board.
Right.
Will it always happen the way you expect it? No, but that's what I love about digital card games. This, in my opinion, is a very good card, and he's clearly House Slytherin. Again, like we said, the art on the set is just really good. I can't wait to see these in golden.
Yeah, me either. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. That's the first bit of our card review for Scholomance Academy. So, as Zerotio said, we will be covering these card releases as they happen over the next couple of weeks up until the set drops. And then we'll go back to playing decks with the new cards. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm just doing a quick peruse over our Discord, which if you want to be part of our Patreon-only Discord, you can go over to patreon.com/heropower and join us in our discussion of the new set. It looks like the Priest card's the only one in here that didn't show up on their website.
Well, there's two neutral, or one neutral and one epic Druid card, it looks like, that were maybe revealed in a foreign language that haven't been.
And that was like 5 days ago, and I actually looked for these two cards and could not find an English equivalent. Hearthstone Top Deck didn't put it up on their site or anything, so I don't know how accurate these cards are.
Okay.
They look accurate based on the screenshots, but again, we have rough translations. We have no names, so I thought we'd include those later.
Okay.
But the Priest minion, the Fragile Freshman, originally I thought maybe it was like, sometimes they'll do those where they'll show you a card with no text, but it has text
Mm-hmm.
as like a teaser, and then later you'll see the full card. And I thought it's possible that could be Frazzled Freshman, but then again, if a 1-mana 1/4 has text on it that's not negative
Yeah,
effects, then
super strong.
the super. So I assume it's probably a vanilla 1/4, but again, it's not on the Play Hearthstone site. So until it goes up on that site, we'll wait until then to officially reveal it and review it. So, because it might have more to it.
Right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you haven't done so already. And if you're interested in checking out our patron-only Discord, you can join that for as little as $1 a month over at patreon.com/heropower. And until next week,
Don't forget to use your hero power.